China is for China. China is not for Africa. How can an African be a foreigner in an African country? I think to gain mentality, we need to let go of the influence of the West, who were still colonized under white supremacists. Good afternoon, wherever you are listening to, wherever you are watching it. Welcome to FKU Africa Podcast. This is your host, Maneza F08. Today, we are having a very, very, very interesting topic. We are discussing 5 instances where African Union failed Africans. This topic is very close to my heart because they didn't only fail us, they failed the whole nation. They failed our kids, they failed our women, they failed our fathers and our forefathers. So before we get into it, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, click that red button, subscribe and click the bell so that you can get the notification in your emails. As soon as the podcast is going live, you will get the notification. Make sure you subscribe, you click like and comment and suggest more topic that we can talk about. So yeah, without wasting any time, let's get into it. The first failure that African Union failed is to liberate Africa completely. Liberate it from the West completely. How did they fail it? From the first country that gained independence, which was Ghana, up to the last, which was South Africa. It's been more than 50 years now that we gained independence as Africa, the first few countries. So the first thing that they failed was to negotiate with the West, with the exiting government of the West. Why did we have to negotiate with them while they didn't negotiate when they were taking over? They left many of African countries, if not all, with huge amount of bills, debt with the West. They made sure before they give up the reins, they made sure that they would take huge amount of loans from their banks in Europe, their IMFs, their World Banks, so that whenever they lose their power, we're still going to pay those debts. Those are not our debts. Those are their debts. What our leaders should have done when they were taking over, they should have said, okay, now we took over. You go to Europe or you go wherever you want to go with your debt. We're not gonna pay anything. We didn't make those deals. We didn't ask you to do it. So you go with it. They failed that. The second thing is their policies. They are toothless policies. They are meaningless policies. Because how can, as a huge African organization, such huge movement have policies that enabling them to interfere into countries' affairs? What is this union about if you're not going to interfere in all other African countries' affairs? They cannot interfere in wars, civil wars. They cannot interfere in corruption that is happening into the countries. They cannot interfere in ill treatment that is done by soldiers into other countries. They cannot interfere in those rebels, terrorists of the likes of the Boko Haram and all these Muslim jihadists who are terrorizing countries in Africa all over. Why do we have that organization if they cannot interfere? That's my question. They fail to make sure that they have strong policies that will govern Africa in the way that Africans live. They failed Darfur, they failed Liberia, they failed Nigeria, they failed Rwanda during the civil wars, they failed Zimbabwe during the times of Shangarai, they failed Uganda during all these years of terror that is brought to Ugandan people by Museveni. The recent one, his soldiers were dragging around this professor, Dr. Stella Nyanzi, if I'm not mistaken. They failed completely. So yeah, and those loans that they keep on taking from the IMFs, from the World Banks, from China, they failed us. This podcast is supported by Ikapa Hype and Ikapa Art. Make sure that you go to Facebook to their Facebook page and click the like. Make sure that you support them and follow them. Make sure that you go to YouTube and subscribe to their channel, Ikapa Art, Ikapa Hype. So the second one is they failed to empower women into power. It's been from 1963 up until now. It's been like 57 years of men-dominated organization. Imagine that. All males, chairpersons. The only time that I can recall a woman as a chairperson, it was when Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was elected. That's the only time that I can recall. Why? Because women are visionaries. Women who didn't tolerate all this abuse from China, all this abuse from Europe, all this abuse from America in signing those bad deals, in enriching themselves with our resources. Women will never allow that. Women have conscience. They know that if we give a woman to be in charge, she will flourish. Look what is happening to the countries like what is this country? New Zealand. There's a woman that is a prime minister there. Look at the rate of improvement that is happening there. I'm not saying I like their style or something, but I like the idea of having a woman as our president or a woman in charge of African Union so that they can fight off this China, because it's clear that the domination of male has failed. Without a doubt, they failed dismally. We cannot excuse that. We cannot be blinded by marginalistics. We cannot be blinded by the hate of being ruled by a woman. Africa has had many women in charge as chiefs, as kings throughout the years, even before the Europeans come to Africa. Africa was flourishing then. It will flourish even more going forward. So the third one is they failed, and this one is very important. I have a video outlining this one. They failed to fight off corruption from the West, from China, from America. How did they fail it? Because they are greedy. They showed that they cannot rule. They are scared, for the lack of better words. They are acting like little children at preschool when it comes to tackling the real issues, tackling the influence of the West. They sign bad deals with those that comes with this aid from China, loans from Europe, infrastructure from America. Because, for an example, if you're gonna get let's say an aid of building a hospital and stadiums from China, like they do all over Africa, building the railway lines and roads and everything, those deals come with conditions. Their companies are gonna be all over us. They're gonna be all over here in Africa, because when they give you those kind of deals, they say, okay, we're gonna build you this hospital, but we're gonna have 50% of our companies from China building it. They're gonna bring their people here to come and build. What about our people? They're gonna also want stakes in the minings, stakes in farming, so that they can import all our resources out of here, man. So you need to be careful. You need to make sure that you understand how did they fail to fight corruption. AU, because of their policies, they cannot go into any other country and tell the president, no, this is not the way to go. This is not how you do it. They can't. Why? They don't have balls. They were cut off when they signed those policies. Why they cannot change them? You ask me, I don't know. Why? Because they have a power to change those policies, because they have been proven that they are not working for us as Africans. Why? Because they are greedy. They like it when no one will challenge them. They will loot billions and trillions of rands and dollars from their countries, take away food from the hungry people in their countries, take away education from the kids, take away health care from the sick, and loot it to enrich themselves and their families and friends. They failed us. So the fourth one is to make sure that elections, at least elections, run smoothly in African countries. At least AU should have been able to do that. Why they can't? They failed. Look at Mali. How many times have their election have been postponed? The opposition party leaders disappearing, hiding. Look at Uganda. Museveni arresting this guy. What is his name again? Poppy Wine. Yes, because he's challenging him. Because it's gaining a lot of a following. A lot of voters are seeing his policies. They are seeing how he can change the country, even going going beyond and make connections to Africa, because he was preaching this pan-Africanist. They saw that this guy is a threat. Museveni and his soldiers arrested him. They failed as Shangarai in Zimbabwe. Shanghai was gaining a momentum, gaining a lot of votes, a lot of following. What they did, they arrest him, they beat him up publicly. African Union didn't do anything about it. They did nothing about it. This is how they failed us, man. Those are the things that you need to know. The failures of African Union. The last one, the fifth one, is they failed to unite Africa into one government. That failure will haunt Mr. Kwame Nkrumah in his grave, the likes of Patrice Lumumba, the likes of Julius Nyerere, the likes of Trisani, the likes of Steve Bantu Biko, the likes of Marcus Garvey, the likes of Bob Marley, the likes of Malcolm X, because that was their dream. That was their dream. Africa must unite into one and have one government with borderless states, with one currency, with one anthem, with one flag, with one love. And they failed to do that for over 60 years. From at the time that African Union was formed as an organization for African unity in 1963, that's where it all began, the failure to unite Africa. And that saddens me. Why? Because should have managed to unite us and have that African government, that United African States, we shouldn't be in this mess now as Africa. We should be as a powerful continent of all, or the powerful country of all. We should be matching head to head, blow by blow, with the likes of America, with the likes of Europe, with the likes of China. Our economy would be flourishing. Our resources would be untouchable. We will be developing those resources on our own. We would be polishing those diamonds, those coppers, those gold, those silvers, those bronze. We would be farming on our own and not importing to the West and they bring juices to us. Farming hard labor for them, oranges, apples, and send it to them, and they come back as a form of a juice to us. Then we are buying their juices. Imagine that. So they failed us dismally on that count. So those were the 5 instances where African Union failed Africans. We got video on China-African relationship. Make sure to check that out. I think it's episode 3 or so. So check that out. And make sure that you subscribe for more of this content. I will keep on bringing you those stories, good and the bad, because I like Africa. I love Africa. I live Africa. I breathe Africa. I want Africa to flourish, to go forward as one. I will bring you the good ones that Africa has done, the good things that you can get out of Africa, because Africa is not all so bad, but with the influence of these other parties, they are making it look bad. Even the movies that you see from America, from Europe, you see they're shooting those movies into the villages, in the rondavels, in those crazy houses. They're in the villages. They never go to the cities. We got beautiful cities here in Africa. You can come and check out our countries, our cities. We got beautiful cities. We got cities like Cape Town, Cairo, Addis Ababa, Abuja. I'm talking about beautiful cities that shines light when you come. Johannesburg, Harare, beautiful cities. They never show those. They will show you deserts. They will show you bushes, houses into the bush that they made out of bushes stuff. out of mud. Those that what they will show you. They won't show you the real things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the videos. I hope you did subscribe. If you didn't, you will be cheating me. You comment and make sure you tell me which one failed. Did you think that they failed most? Which one did I leave out? Because I'm gonna keep on breaking it down. This is just a tip of the iceberg. They failed dismal. They failed a lot. We're gonna have part 2 and part 3 of failures, top 5 and top 10 if we want to, or even one that we're gonna get into deep about it. So yeah, peace. Fikiria kwa undani. Asante ndugu. Tsamaku.